Welcome to the After Chat. I'm Michael.
I'm Madison.
And today we're going to be talking about how to have difficult conversations. It's a big one.
Yep.
You ready?
I am.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the After Chat. Real questions. Real talk. Real life.
What's the most useful life hack that you know?
Okay, so I don't know if this one technically qualifies as a life hack, but I do this all the time and it has helped my life and it's useful. But anytime that I get like extra money, like I work a side job or like I just have extra fun money, I didn't spend it or whatever, if I have it in cash, I lose it. And then I get to find it later. And then it's like I get paid twice. So it's like a fun bonus of like, it's like almost like the like squirreling your money away.
Yeah.
But like in the true sense of squirreling it away as in you don't know where you put it like a squirrel does. So yeah.
No, there's nothing more fun, or there's few things as fun as whenever like I go and put on like a jacket that I wore like last winter and I find like, you know, a 5 or a 10 or a 20 in it. Like
when
that's
you find
super
a
fun.
20,
Yeah.
nothing better.
That's legit found money because you wrote that off a long time ago.
Yeah, and that's like, you know, that's like 3/4 of a tank of gas for me. Like,
There
that's
you go.
pretty solid. So, yeah, just lose your money sometimes.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think this one is not a life hack. I think I've mentioned before, I am a huge... I want to believe in the validity of all of the as seen on TV products at Walmart or whatever.
You do have a passion for them.
I do. I just want to believe that they'll solve so many problems for me, but they
How's
rarely
that working
do.
out for you?
Well, I mean, nothing against the good people that made Mighty Putty back in the day, but I did destroy like a whole bunch of walls. Trying to hang things and then take things down and put up a baby gate and
Yikes.
hang a curtain rod. Like, no.
So you full sent on that before you realized how it actually worked with the wall?
Oh, no. I just got it. I looked at it. It said tear off a piece, roll it into your hands to make the magic happen and the chemicals mix, slapped it on the wall, and didn't test it anywhere, just right out in the living room. No,
nice.
it was a nightmare. But I have found one that does work, and it is it's the perfect potato pouch. So you put your potato in there, and then zap it in the microwave for like 3 minutes, and bango presto, you have a perfectly cooked potato.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because I've microwaved a potato before, but like I just stabbed it with a fork and microwaved it.
Nope, this one you just rub oil on it and season it up and put it in this little red pouch thing.
Is it like silicone?
Oh, I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure what the science is behind it.
I need to look it up. I'll look it up. I'll do my own research, but
so,
I love a potato.
No, I love potatoes too. And so now that we're talking, I can talk as seen TV like all day. But I got this cereal cup one. I haven't tried it yet. But it's so you're supposed to fill the outer glass with milk, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you put like this center cup in, and then you fill that with cereal. And then you have like this little lid that you put on it.
I'm scared.
And then you like tilt it up, and then like the perfect amount of cereal and milk is supposed to go into your mouth, and then so like you can take cereal on the go.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'm not a big cereal person, but I have a feeling that if I was, I would really enjoy that.
No, I mean you can take cereal in the car. Like you can just walk around. You're gesticulating with a cup of cereal. Like no, it'd be awesome. Huh. So we might do a reel and see how that works.
Yeah, we'll have to have to test it out. I feel like the cereals that I like, because if I'm going to eat cereal, it's going to be sugar cereal. And it's going to be like for fun. And as opposed to like for existing, because there's not a single bit of nutrition in the sugar cereal. But I like it when it gets like softened by the milk, because otherwise, because my favorite is Captain Crunch. It
You'll
tears
destroy
up
your
the roof
mouth.
of my mouth.
Yeah.
So my only hesitation is if it's separated, it's always going to be a fresh crunch. But you could probably get just the right kind of cereal.
I'm thinking like because I like Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, like all those you want a little bit gooey. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking like a Cheerios, like
Ooh,
a
Honey Nut
strawberry.
Cheerios.
Yes, or strawberry vanilla Cheerios. Like those are also really, really good.
Amazing.
Like I think one of those would probably be the way to go.
Yeah. We'll have to do some research.
We'll give that a whirl.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so what is a recent situation that was nearly a disaster, but you were able to prevent it?
I can't think of any recent, but I do remember whenever my youngest was, like she's a teenager now, but whenever she was really little, like I demonstrated, I'm like I like to be out there and active with my kids,
Yeah.
and so like whenever they were little, like you always want to impress them. So we was out at the park one day, and we was on the swing set, and I wanted to show her like how awesome Dad was, and like so I got swinging really really high, and then I like jumped from it when it was up in the air,
Ooh.
and like landed on my feet, and I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, that was so cool, and so then I went off, and I was talking to my other kid, and she was out there swinging, and she said, Dad, watch this, and she did the exact same thing. And I had to run, like I caught her before she
Ooh.
hit the ground because she was like 5.
Yeah.
But
That's the dad spidey senses
yes,
kicking in.
and so like I knew that it was not going to work out as well for her. But I caught her, and so that was a near disaster.
That's a good one. I thought you were setting it up to say you jumped off of the swing and you like almost hurt yourself.
No.
So you not only avoided hurting yourself, but you saved your daughter.
Yes.
It's pretty sweet. Mine is actually pretty recent. I think I might have mentioned it before on one of our episodes. I can't remember. But I was driving with my friend, and it was like we hit this patch of ice, and it was the full lane was ice. Like there was no way to avoid it without going in completely into the other lane, and there was oncoming traffic. So I like hit the patch of ice, and I could feel that my tires weren't vibing with the ice, and so I just go, and I'm gonna lean away from the mic. Jesus, 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 Jesus. And that was like my Jesus help me. And yeah, so it was that dramatic, 100%. And I just didn't swerve or anything. I had my foot off. I didn't slam on the brakes. And we kept going, but I haven't spun on I didn't spin around, but I haven't. We live in Virginia, okay, guys? I don't drive in the snow that much. It's a big deal for me to hit a patch of ice. But Jesus had my back, so.
You legit called on the name of the Lord.
Oh, I did. I said, please take this wheel. Yep.
So, what is the weirdest conversation? Because we're going to be talking about conversations.
Yes.
So, let's start out with, like, what is a weird one that you've had?
I had one probably a few years ago at this point I don't want to say it was weird as in I wasn't expecting it, but it was actually, looking back on it, it was this really nice moment. I had a stranger come up to me, nondescript, middle-aged woman who approached me and said that I looked exactly like her daughter. And I was thrown off for a second, and then I could tell that she was emotional, and her daughter had recently passed, and so she was like, can I give you a hug? And I was like, yeah, of course. And so it was strange at first, and then it very quickly turned into just, aw.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was able to do that for her, and I hope that it helped in the moment.
Just a really sweet moment like that.
Yeah, it was cool.
No, that's really awesome, man.
Yeah. What about you?
So this one, it's kind of reminiscent of a episode of a popular TV show. But so someone came up to me, and I don't even remember where I was, but this person was a low talker.
Like deep in pitch?
No, like.
Okay. Quiet. Okay.
And so like you're just struggling, huh?
Yeah.
Like what? In Seinfeld, it was called a low talker. And so this person just came up and she was talking to me, and I just kept saying, uh-huh. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And like I just nodding in agreement just the whole time, just saying okay. And then she just kind of just smiled and turned around and walked away. And I had no idea like what I had seemingly agreed to or affirmed or anything else, but it felt really weird to just keep asking to repeat herself, especially as I was pretending to kind of know what they were saying. But I mean, luckily it didn't like involve me like committing to anything. In Seinfeld, he ended up having to wear a puffy shirt on a TV show when it happened to him. But so like for me,
I forgot that they called that low talker, because I have a hard time when you say low talker. I think deep in pitch. I have a hard time hearing people when they have very deep voices. So like my fiance, whenever we're talking on the phone and he's like just woken up because there's time difference there, and he has like his deep morning voice, I'm always like, what? Come again? Like, can you pronounce a little bit better for me? So yeah, that's no blouses yet for you?
I've not gotten anything in the mail, but it was just a weird.
Ooh, ASMR. ASMR after chat.
But just, yep. So we're going to be talking about how to have difficult conversations. And so we're going to let our senior pastor, Brian Hughes, set this conversation up for us. Check out this clip.
Dr. Viktor Frankl, who famously survived 3 grueling years at Auschwitz and other Nazi prison camps, he said this one time. He said, "We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." That's what self-differentiation is. It's the key to healthy boundaries. And if self-differentiation is the key to healthy boundaries is the key to healthy relationships. That's how you get there. It's not easy, but it's a skill that we can all learn. And the result will be less anxiety in our families, less anxiety in ourselves.
You know, I love what Brian said there, and that's a fantastic message. But 2 things really jumped out that he stated there. One is that we have the ability to control our attitude, regardless of our circumstances. If Dr. Frankl, and the book that Viktor Frankl wrote that in, it's fascinating. Man's Search for Meaning. I've read that book. I highly recommend it to anybody. But you get to choose your attitude regardless of your circumstances, and also we have the ability to choose our own way, and that's really what differentiation means. It's owning your emotions and your feelings, and then saying, hey, like you own this thing, like, and I'm free to respond how I'm going to. You're free to respond how you're going to, but that. And just making sure that everybody's on the same page and knows where everybody stands.
Yeah.
And so those were the 2 things that really jumped out to me from that clip.
Yeah, I think the owning your attitude part of things was such a learning curve for me, because I had to learn that at some point the attitudes that I would have towards other people that were uncommunicated were completely unhelpful.
Yeah.
Like, it was only adding to a breakdown of communication, or just causing me to walk around feeling miserable, possibly acting in a way. I don't think I ever intentionally acted in a way to like try and make people feel guilty about something, but I for sure did it unintentionally. So I've done a lot of work recently, just kind of in the world of expectations and what are expectations, what should they be, what should the rules around expectations be, and how do you communicate with others about them, because I feel like that's where so much breakdown happens, just in, I wanted you to do this, and the other person has no idea.
Yeah.
So I have some tools that I would like to share.
Yeah, and it's the difference between like coming to somebody and say, well, why didn't you call me? Did you want me to call?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
You never communicated that.
It goes in so many, it like sneaks its way into so many different kinds of relationships. And it can be such a quick breakdown of communication to have expectations that break the rules, quote unquote rules. So I have some tools and I have some rules.
Okay.
If you're curious, if anybody's curious where some of this information that I'm going to share with you is from, it all comes from different pieces of Pete Scazzero's work on emotionally healthy spirituality. So some of it is from his emotionally healthy spirituality book, and then some of it comes from a book that is kind of later down in that course. It's emotionally healthy relationships, and I very highly recommend both of them. They've positively impacted me. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it a million times on this podcast at this point, but the first thing that I would like to talk about is the rules that you should have in regards to expectations. So the first thing that I would say is that all expectations should be conscious, realistic, spoken, and agreed upon. So if we can break down specifically what all of that means, conscious expectations means you're aware that you had this expectation.
Yes.
So if you find yourself interacting with someone and you have like this catch inside of yourself and you're like, I didn't even realize that I had that expectation, that's your red flag time to start like doing some work there, because you should be consciously aware of all of the expectations that you place on other people. And then the biggest thing, in my opinion, is these expectations should always be realistic. So this kind of has a breakdown. This is pulled from this course material of, is this expectation reasonable? Why or why not? What is the specific evidence that this person or these people can or will do this? And here's an example. If your holiday with your family each year is always filled with tension, what has changed so that this year might be different? If your close friends do not normally send you a birthday card, what has changed this year so that you can realistically expect a different outcome? So like it's more about your like pie in the sky, like your fantasy of how people would treat you should not be your actual expectations of them.
No, you should be able to look around and make an honest assessment about the situation and the circumstances that you currently find yourself in, and then ask, why should I expect something different?
Yeah, or even towards the other person. So, for example, if I have an expectation towards one of my friends that we get to hang out, at least once a week and spend some time together, well, that's not a realistic expectation if they are going through something.
Yeah.
Or if they are mentally struggling in some way. Like, you can communicate, I would like to spend some time with you, but like you should reevaluate ongoing whether some of your expectations are realistic, because situations change all the time. The thing that I struggled with the most is speaking the expectations. So I think the important thing is that they're realistic, but I personally struggled with speaking them. So you have to clearly speak the expectation and not just assume that the other person should know.
Yes.
This one for me, I feel like is a big deal in the world of like coworker relationships of like, I have for sure assumed that one of my coworkers should have done something, but I never communicated to them that like I'm expecting this thing to be done by you. And then you agree upon your expectations together. So like that should be your rule book, those 4 things with expectations. Are they conscious? Are they realistic? Are they spoken? And are they agreed upon? And then when you have that and you're kind of able to like, you have a feeling inside and you're able to identify, like, Michael, you let me down. And you're just processing it. Michael's let me down. What did he do? Is what he did because I had an unrealistic expectation or an uncommunicated expectation or whatever? If the answer is yes, then it's time for a conversation.
Yeah.
And in the conversation, I would approach you and I would say, hey, Michael, I'd like to clarify an expectation that I have of you. Is it correct? So, like, let's come up with a scenario.
Okay.
between you and I. We can have it in relation to the after chat of you and I were supposed to have a meeting.
Yes.
And I would like to clarify this expectation because you are consistently 15 minutes late to meetings. Michael has a thing about being late to meetings. He tries really hard to not be. So I'm really picking on him right now because I know that punctuality is important to him. So just be patient with me.
I am.
So I would like to clarify that I have an expectation of you. My expectation is that we've both agreed that we will be as punctual as possible to our meetings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I expect, because we've agreed upon we've agreed upon the expectation. I'm aware that I have it. It's spoken between us, and it's agreed upon between us.
Mm-hmm.
I expect you to find a solution for yourself so that you will be on time to our meetings.
Okay.
Because it's important to me that you show me value when you are on time, and that means you value my time. Can we agree to that?
And if this was all something that we had agreed upon and had been
Yep.
established, I would, as someone that tries to listen well, I would say yes. I apologize for not being on time, and then I will do my best to rectify that going forward.
But this is it feels so stiff when you're practicing it with other
Yes.
people. But I heavily recommend practicing it like we just did, of come up with an insane scenario or something even that's happened that you've buried with somebody else, and you're
Yes.
can we use this because I know we're good about this? Can we use this situation and pick it apart and
Yes.
figure out how we work together? And there's two more questions that I would like to share in relation to kind of expectations or assumptions that you can kind of use to open the door to figure out where somebody else's head is at. So this question is, I wonder ... are you willing ? So that's kind of where you fill in the blank of I wonder if it would be a good idea for us to move our meeting time. Would you be willing to do that? Or I wonder if you're... I'm trying to come up with something silly. I wonder if your raging addiction to playing video games until 1 a.m. is affecting your ability to show up on time for a meeting, Michael.
Yeah.
You and your video games. I don't even know if he plays video games. But, I wonder if this is the problem. Could we try? Would you be willing to try identifying if that's the issue?
Well, no, I really like that because what it does is it takes it out of it. It's very disarming.
Yeah.
When it's done in that way, and it feels like less of a confrontation, and more of a let's do this, let's solve this problem together.
Yeah, it automatically, when you choose the right language and you have a strategy and approach before you go into a conversation, it can heavily impact, I don't know, it makes you part of a team together.
Yes.
Like you said, you're trying to solve the thing. I use this question all the time for very surface level things that I've picked up on that I don't know if it's true or not, just in the way that people communicate to me. So an easier way to say that would be, I'll pick on Ellis now because I feel like I've picked on you enough. So let's say I walk by Ellis in the hallway, and he is he's just grumping down the hallway, and I made an assumption that anger or that frustration was directed towards me because of something. I can approach him very easily and be like, I'd like to check out an assumption that I've made. I assumed that because of your body language walking down the hallway, we have a problem. Is that true? It's so much easier to just lay it all out and say, I made this assumption. Can you tell me if this is right or not?
Yeah.
Because usually what I had leaned on before was just almost talking myself out of my assumptions, which I do think you should always believe the best about other people's actions. But sometimes our insecurities are too loud to believe
Yeah.
the best. And we have to recognize when our insecurity or our sensitivity or desire for people around us to be harmonious and happy, when that is causing us to make assumptions.
Yeah.
And then I have one more thing that I'd like to share. I'm going to kind of hit this quickly, but there will be a document that I can share that we can post a link to that has it structured.
Before you do that, though, can I make one comment? Like,
Absolutely.
and what you just mentioned there, you know, because if you didn't address it, like the feelings or the assumptions or whatever you had, like then you would end up acting on behaving in a way, like so you would have an expectation or some sort of slight real or imagined that you would then like treat this person in a different way based on that, which is really just unfair to the other person. So, I mean, that's really a way just to own your feelings and then sort them out and deal with them.
That became a habit for me recently, just asking clarifying questions for people within interactions, because for those who aren't familiar, I fairly recently, within the past 2 years or so, I've been diagnosed with ASD level 1. So I already have some, which is autism spectrum disorder. I have some initial issues socializing that I've already learned it's just easier to ask. But it's kind of, it also bleeds over into healthy relationships. So sometimes I feel like I almost, because interacting with people sometimes is like a foreign language to me, I am almost like better equipped to navigate difficult conversations because every conversation is difficult for me, kind of a thing. So it's been a habit, but it's a habit that served me well, and I use it, for other situations outside of, are you angry right now? Like, I use it for lots of different things, and it's always super helpful. So, yeah, those like two concepts of having rules for your expectations and then how to communicate through broken expectations has completely changed the way that I can interact with people and the way that I can differentiate. And honestly, like beforehand, I wouldn't be able to get through the conversation to begin with because I'd get so emotional. I'd feel so misunderstood and frustrated, and like I couldn't get my words out. So having a script is really helpful. And then it becomes more natural. So don't think the script and like the scenario is the way that it should happen all the time.
Yes.
It gets more natural. This last tool that I'd like to share with everyone, this is called the Ladder of Integrity. This is found in emotionally healthy relationships. I use this more for processing because Michael's about to walk us through some steps for in the midst of difficult conversations, how to navigate with the people in particular. This helps me pick apart my role in a fight or in tension before I actually get to that conversation. So I'm not pushing issues that aren't even real, the core problem. So this is the ladder of integrity. I use these questions in journaling to pick things apart. The important thing is to stick to one issue. So not one person, but one issue in particular. So we'll go back to Michael being horribly late. Now he's 30 minutes late, and he's gaming until 2 a.m.
It's
Can
just
you believe
escalated
it?
outrageously.
And it's Fortnite too. Like, I'm just kidding. So that's my one issue is it's not Michael as a person. It's Michael's punctuality. I'm not trying to change him. He is Michael. Yes. But his action is causing me frustration. So the first question is, right now, the issue on my mind is ... Michael's punctuality. Question 2, I'm anxious in talking about this because ... I haven't had a difficult conversation with Michael before. That's an easy one to answer.
And you never know how someone's going to react.
Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like everybody gets anxious when they start difficult conversations. Yes. My part in this is ... This is where you can, when it's kind of more interpersonal stuff, you can kind of really pick apart, how have I escalated this? Have I added to Michael's stress by constantly nagging him about how he's late? Am I texting him every 5 minutes that he's late, saying, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Am I causing division in this dynamic at all? Number 4, my need in this issue is ... for Michael to be on time.
Yes.
My feelings about this are ... That's number 5. My feelings are, Michael doesn't value my time because he's late. I know this is just hurting your heart because I know that punctuality is so important. I appreciate you letting me pick on you.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 6, what my reaction tells me about this is ... It's important for me to feel like the people that I work with are respectful of the fact that I have a lot on my plate and I have a lot of things that demand my time, and I want to do a good job in all of them. Number 7, this issue is important to me because I value blank, and I violate that value when I blank. So this one's a little bit difficult to kind of apply to this situation in particular. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to force it. If an answer doesn't fit, I'm not going to force it. But a good thing to kind of explain that is this issue is important to me because I value, if we're going backwards to Ellis, hurting my feelings because he looked angry. This issue is important to me because I value when my friends like enjoy my company, and I violate that value when I don't see them frustrated and hurting or moving quickly, and I don't stop and check in on them.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
I even see how it could apply here. Like, what? Let me see the sentence, please.
This issue is important to me because I value
Mutual respect in this relationship, and I violate that value whenever I feel like it's not happening.
Yeah.
And I don't voice it.
That one is a really good way to, that question in particular, when it's interpersonal stuff and it's more like personal opinions, it's a really good way to pick out what is that core thing that's just really bugging you.
Yes.
Like, what are you ticked about? What are you being painted into a corner to do that you don't like having to do?
Yes.
If that makes sense. Number 8 is I am willing / not willing to. So this is important to define before you get into like fixing a situation with someone of
Yes.
like, I am willing to move our meeting time. I am willing to figure out if there's a closer place that we can meet that's more convenient for you. I am not willing to sit for 30. Now it's 45 minutes, Michael. Sit for 45 minutes and stare at a wall and not know when you're going to show up.
Yes.
The one thing that I could do to improve the situation is ... I'm going to stop picking on you. I'm just going to read these last few out. The one thing I could do to improve the situation is the most important thing I want you to know is ... And this is, you're still talking yourself through this.
Yes.
But it helps you prepare for the conversation you're going to have. I think my honest sharing will benefit our relationship by, a lot of times it's just having open communication.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a solid relationship without open communication. And then the final thing that I love, this is my favorite, the last question is my favorite. I hope and look forward to ... And you let yourself just kind of like dream a little bit of, if this tension between us wasn't here, if this issue between us wasn't here, what are you hoping and looking forward to? I'm hoping and looking forward to the day when Ellis and I, can vibe and I know his body language very well, or I know how to anticipate his needs because I care about him, or I know how to serve him based on what he's telling me is going on in my life. That's the fun part. You get to dream a little bit.
You get to explore the future and like what it'll look like whenever you can have that vulnerable trust between you to just speak openly like that.
Yeah, so that was long-winded.
No,
but
I love that, especially because that last piece, those 12 steps there are super huge. And we didn't plan this. Like, I didn't know what she's going to be going over, and she doesn't really know what I'm going to be going over. But that is such a helpful thing that would work really well in tandem with where we're going.
Exciting.
So this is a tool that I found in this book here, Why Don't We Listen Better? Communicating and Connecting in Relationships by James C. Peterson. Fantastic book, highly recommend it. And it's all about having about how to navigate conversations and really listen to each other well and help each other identify what exactly it is that they're feeling or thinking. And so one of the awesome tools in here is this talker listener card. So it's a little, on one side it has the rules for the listener, and on the other side it has the rules for the talker.
I love that.
And you can just set it right in between you and the person that you're talking with, and it has all of obviously, he can't condense everything in this book to this card, but it does help keeping everybody in their proper roles whenever there's a difficult conversation to be had.
Sweet. So I can see my role here as a listener.
Yes.
And I know exactly what's expected of me.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And also, I think there's like 4 or 5 more in the back of the book. But so I found this to be very helpful. And there's tons of things in the book that we're not going to break down. But I do want to go over the card and how it can be helpful to people.
Yeah.
So you find out who's the bothered person. And it doesn't have to be like I'm angry with Madison, or I could just be depressed or worried about something, and I just want to talk something through with her.
Yeah.
So here we go. There's the thing. And so the talker is the one that owns the problem. And I loved the way that you broke that down, because it helps them identify what the problem is or what they're really thinking is. But the rule for the talker is, right now, since I'm talking, we're both going to look at it through my eyes and my point of view. And that also means that I have the responsibility for handling the issues and the emotions that stem from it.
Ooh,
like, I own this.
That's
like,
good.
Like, you don't own this. The goal of the talker is to determine my thoughts and feelings and share them. And sometimes whenever you're having an issue or something, you don't really know exactly what it is in the first place. Which is why I love that. Which is why I love that 12-step thing there, because that could be something that would be very beneficial to have the talker do with somebody listening.
Yeah.
Like, so I thought that was really, really awesome. And then, but there's also some rules for the talker, like what to do. I'm trying to accomplish these goals to share my thoughts and feelings, but without doing certain things. One of them is accusing and blaming everybody else for why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling.
Which is hard to do.
Which is extremely hard to do. Another one is just if we are in a conflict, I'm not here to attack you and try to win. Which is something that a lot of people try to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard habit to give up.
Yes. Labeling or without name calling people or judging and putting other people beneath us. The goal of this is to identify my thoughts and feelings and share them in a helpful, healthy way with the person that I'm talking to. Now, on the other side of that is the listener side. Now, the listener needs to be calm enough to hear the other person. So if we are heated and I do have something that I want to communicate, are you in a space to hear this right now? If the answer is no, we're going to put a pin in it.
Yeah.
And we'll come back at a later time. Because if I'm trying to talk and you're not in a space to listen, then it's just not going to work at all.
Nope.
And so, to the point that I made earlier, you don't want to let a question mask what someone needs to say. Why didn't you call me yesterday? Did you want me to call you yesterday? Yes, I did. And I wanted you to call because of, okay, so now I'm actually talking and you're listening. You're not defending yourself. You're just asking a clarifying question to help me, express my feelings.
Yeah. I'm tracking. I like it.
So, also, you don't own the problem. So you don't want to assume ownership of the problem, or, you don't want to say, why didn't you call me? Okay, well, I'm sorry, I was going to call you, but I didn't. Now you're owning my problem and my responses.
Yeah.
So, and if you feel that it's starting to be passed off to you, that is a really tough problem that you have. Do you have any ideas of how you're going to fix it? Have you considered doing anything else? What are your options here? Help them clarify their feelings, options, and explore like what the future might look like if the problem is solved. Like you're not owning it. You're helping them think things through.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're trying to do. And your goal as the listener is to provide a safe place for this thing to happen. So you're there to keep confidences. You don't want to weaponize anything that's said in there and bring it back at a later time. You want to, yes. I mean, how often has that happened where you thought you were in a safe place?
Yep.
And found out that you actually wasn't down the road.
Yeah, man.
I mean, everybody's had that.
I've also
happen
done
before.
that to people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, we all have. Like we've all let people down in that way.
Man.
Your other goal is to understand, ask questions, avoid declarative statements, keep the focus on what the talker thinks about the situation and the people involved. Like, so can you understand why she did that thing? Or like, well, what did you feel about what were some of the initial feelings that you felt whenever that happened? You're just there to understand the situation and to let them speak and communicate their feelings. Because all of this is with the goal of helping them clarify what they think and what they feel.
That's awesome.
Some things that you don't want to do. You're not there to be agreeing or disagreeing, because the second that you start going down that road, you're talking and you're no longer listening. And sometimes people want you just to agree with them, but that's not what you're there to help them with their issues and their thoughts and feelings. Can I
interject
go ahead,
real quick? So I will say this used to be a difficult thing for me to break because I enjoy showing people that I'm actively listening to them.
Yes.
With body language and with verbal confirmation. So I have started using in place of like yeah, or like because it can sometimes feel like agreeing. I've switched to I hear you. Like,
yes.
I hear you, or like I want to acknowledge their feelings or what they're saying or their emotions, even and if it's not time for like me to agree with something.
Yes.
I usually lean on I hear you.
No, and that's some of that's in here as well, like the way that you can use body language and stuff to let people know that you're listening to them without necessarily agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
There's like 30 different listener techniques in here. So I mean, it's a dry read. Don't get it twisted. Like it is a dry read of a book, but it's been super helpful in helping me just be more intentional in my listening without overstepping into the conversation. Because I mean, one of my natural instincts is to go in and problem solve. Like I love, especially if it's somebody that I know and I'm in a relationship with, and we have a good back and forth. Like I immediately, boom, I'm on your side. I agree with everything you're saying, and I'm going to help you fix it. And sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, that's not what the person actually needs.
Yeah.
The last one thing here is without advising. Let them sort of, and this is the one for me. Let them sort out their problems and own them. And because honestly, most people don't want it in the first place. There is a place for that whenever it's your turn to talk. But the talker must do their own sorting first. Answer questions with questions like, well, what should I do? What are your options? Like, what all things have you considered? And the other one is, if it is a conversation where she's telling me how it sucks that I'm late for our meetings all the time, listen and wait to talk. Don't immediately start defending yourself. That's the last one on here.
Yeah.
Don't immediately start defending yourself. Listen and wait to talk.
Yeah.
Which is a difficult thing for a lot of people to do. And I mean, and just full disclosure, it's difficult for me to want to do because I try really hard. By nature, I can be a people pleaser. So whenever I hear that I've let somebody down, my immediate reaction is to go into self-defense mode and start listing off all of the things that I've done to try to make that person happy.
See, I have a different experience because I come more from like people pleaser mode. So like if somebody did like my approach is more I'm so sorry, owning things that I shouldn't own. Yeah, it's so tough like in the moment. It's so tough in the moment to identify all of the patterns that you have. But when you have tools like this, and you can like think back to different situations, it just gives you so much clarity.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And so like yours is, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'm owning all of the things that aren't even mine to own.
Yeah.
Mine is, okay, I may have been late here, but here's 50 other things that I've tried to do to win your good graces.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, all of that still is a way of defending yourself. So you need to be able to self-reflect in the moment if it is somebody like coming to you with an issue about your behavior. But a lot of times, it's somebody that's in a tough spot that's coming to you, like a friend or a colleague or whatever. And this just really will help you listen to them well, provide a safe place, help them understand the things, but not own the problem themselves.
It's good. It's good stuff.
So this was the talker listener card.
I liked the talker listener card. I like the visual too.
Yes.
Of like that could be even just something to put into like mix this with the conversation about like expectations.
Yes.
Of like I'm gonna go over my list of things that I would like to agree upon, and you're gonna listen, and then we'll flip, and you can respond. Or like it's there's so many different approaches to take to have these like actually functional conversations, and I feel like most of the time people just kind of barrel through, and their perspective is often to, without even realizing it, be attempting to fix the other person or change the other person to be functioning the way that they function.
And that's control.
Yep. It's also not ever that successful. The only result is more frustrations down the road between the two of you. I have so much more peace inside of myself, inside of who I know myself to be, how I react to other people that I care about, or even people that I don't know. Now that I'm releasing being the one to convince you why you're wrong.
Yes.
I'm releasing being the one to like point out all of these things, or like, I guess I wasn't even like that aggressively controversial, like not controversial. Confrontational beforehand, but my attitude would be constantly like spiking up and down, and it was exhausting. So like the internal attitude is helped with your external communication skills.
Yeah, because you mentioned, it's not your role, and it's not my role, and it's not anybody else's role to control somebody else's emotions or problems.
Yep.
But like what Dr. Frankel said, like we can control our own attitudes in response to things.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that we can own.
Yeah. Good stuff.
This was good stuff.
I enjoyed that ours worked together without us even really planning that fully.
and on this man's website, you can actually go and print or order little talker listener cards. I think they're free. I don't remember. But there's also other tools, and some of the techniques from the book are mentioned there as well. There's a whole bunch of them. And if you are having any difficulties having difficult conversations, or need assistance in having them, feel free to reach out to us here at Passion Community Church, and we will do whatever we can to be of assistance there.
Yeah.
This was a good conversation, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And so, like, share, subscribe. If you leave us a review, we will send you a mug. And we will see you back here next week for another episode of the After Chat.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for the After Chat. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To be the first to hear our next episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button and get notifications for new content. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram at PCC Wired and Facebook at Passion Community Church. For additional resources and links, check out the description. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on The After Chat.